Hey. Hey.
His birthday is actually Vav Adar. So it's not yet, really. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Thank you. Uh-huh.
Before he was born, and I thought for some reason we needed to do a bread on Tester, and I woke him up on Shabbos morning at 5:30, and I sat there. I said, I didn't feel it. Is that all right? I said, Chaim, what's the halacha? We have to do a bread on Tester. And he's like, what? I was like, I don't know. Like, what happened? He's like, why are you bothering me in the morning now? Like, he's not doing it before Pesach.
Oh my gosh.
And that day, that was the week before that it could have been. He was at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's crazy.
Like,
Seriously. When I was due with my first, his birthday is well, whatever, it's Kaf Aleph Adar also, but it's, you know, we celebrate that, right? So but the English date was March 16th. And oh yeah, so that was my due date, but it was my first. I was living in Australia. My husband's Australian, you know, and we were living in Perth. He's South African actually, but he's Australian. And my mother had a ticket. It was a Friday. March 16th was the Friday, and she's going to come on you miss a day when you go. So I think she was going to come on the Monday. She was going to leave Sunday. Her time, it was Monday. I don't know, whatever. I don't remember exactly what. And because, you know, you never give birth on your due date, your first baby, right? And I don't know what like nevuah my doctor had. He wasn't Jewish. And he said to me, I would say at about 32 weeks, he said to me, if you want your mother to be at the birth, she should change her ticket. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. So she changed her ticket and she came in on the morning, Friday morning, and I went into labor.
Wow. So he was born on
March 16th.
That's my son.
Yeah, yeah, it was really crazy.
Wait, your father is Adar Aleph?
Yeah, I mean Adar. He's not Adar Bet really. He's just Adar. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Wait, so what's the deal with that?
You celebrate birthdays in the second Adar.
No, but I'm saying you don't celebrate.
No, you don't do it twice. Yeah, your types you generally do in the first month, and the birthdays you do in the second month. Some people do both months. For tzaddikim, sometimes we do both months also.
And it's a problem actually.
Why?
Because of
Marbim B'Simcha. So.
No. But I just went through this with my brother because my grandmother's yahrzeit is on Cupcake.
Okay.
And he says, so they say Kaddish on both times, but he says when you want to daven, so the person who actually has a yahrzeit on Adar Aleph takes precedence, and then they say wait for Adar Bet. When you come to Adar Bet, you have somebody who has a yahrzeit on Adar Bet, so you get
mixed both ways.
Both ways.
Wow.
Wait. So if in the two Adars, yahrzeits come in Adar.
Generally, you celebrate yahrzeits Adar Aleph and birthdays in Adar Bet. Yeah, when my son turned 3, well, he was turning 3. No, 2. Excuse me, 2. My oldest son. So it was an every year, and like we said, his birthday's in Adar, so he was born in Adar, and comes Adar Aleph. We celebrate his second birthday, and someone says to me, "I don't think you're supposed to celebrate it now." And I was like, "Why?" It's, you know, like I never had a birthday. I didn't have a birthday. I didn't know, you know. I didn't think about it, I guess. And and they were like, "Well, my daughter's older than your son, or my daughter was born before your son, but she's in, I don't know, it was something with Nissan."
Yes,
and it's supposed to be not our best, right? So I was like, well, it was a good thing we didn't have the Upshurnish a month early. Anyway, okay, let's get started. So good morning. So we're going to dedicate our learning to Lilui Nishmat Phyllis Bat Shmuel Verut Ziskin, and we do this every week because we always forget what her. Tell me again what her last name was.
Esti is the one who always knows.
Esti is the one. Esti is always knows. Okay. So anyway, that was her name. Phyllis Bat Shmuel Verut, and her neshama should have an aliyah.
No, this is.
Oh, sorry. That's something for my Sorry, that's something for my Poland trip coming up that I forgot to take out of the printer. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so we're actually learning a piece from the Eish Kodesh today. It's a very, very deep piece. It's an awesome piece. It's from like we wrote on here, March 1940. Okay, so that is that year was like we have it here. We read them separately. Okay, Vayakel and Pekude are generally read together, but obviously some years we read them separately. So this is his piece on Vayakel. Okay, so we'll read just the psukim first. Okay, a lot of Mefarshim talk about the first few words. Vayakel Moshe es kol edas adas b'nei Israel. Right, Moshe assembled. Vayakel is like that. He assembled them. Okay, like a kehilah. Vayomer alehem ele hadvarim asher tzivah Hashem la'asosotam. Okay, and he said to them, "These are the things that Hashem has commanded us to do." And then the next pasuk is, what has Hashem commanded us to do? Sheishes yamim te'aseh malacha. 6 days work should be done, or you should do work. Ubayom hashvi'i yeh lachem kodesh Shabbat Shabbaton la'Hashem. And the 7th day will be holy. You should make it a day of like a sanctified day, Shabbat Shabbaton, a Shabbos of rest, essentially, a day of a Shabbos that is a real Shabbos, a day for Hashem. Kol ha'oseh bo malacha yumat, and whoever does work on this day will be put to death. Now, it's a very famous question. We'll just go right into the Eish Kodesh. V'noda hadiyuk b'sfarim kadoshim. Lama hutzrach hakatuv litzavot al hasheshet yamim te'aseh malacha hazot me'atzmam ye'asu v'rak al hashabat hayat tzarich lahem litzavot. Okay, so it's a very famous discussion. First of all, this is like the millionth time that Shabbos has appeared in the Torah. Okay, we are given the mitzvah of Shabbos no less than 12 times in the Torah, and it's a very big thing. And each time that Hashem gives us the mitzvah of Shabbos, we can learn something different, or we can learn depths of many things that are different in every single time. So the question is asked: why in this particular time that we talk about Shabbos does Hashem say to us 6 days you should work, right? Meaning that is and on the Shabbos we stop work, right? That's the norm. The norm is that we should work. So why do we need like a mitzvah aseh of 6 days you should work, and then we have and on Shabbos you don't work?
But is this actually the mitzvah to work? Is there a mitzvah to
so
work?
That's actually yes. So that's the unique
You're not working, but there's no change.
Okay, so that's definitely a very straightforward and an important answer, right? You need Shabbos to be lekadesh. Literally means to separate, right? Kedusha means something separated out. So if you're doing the same thing every day, then there's no separation of Shabbos, right?
But also on the flip side, then you only think that when you do something on Shabbos, it's the only day that you're doing something Kedusha. But if you change it around, then it also means that you work during the week. Is also you can elevate it and can also
beautiful. So you're thinking along the lines of the Rebbe, okay? And he's going to say something that is similar to that. Baruch Hashem. similar to that, but he's gonna go even like deeper and give us like something almost like mamashi, like tangible to hold on to with that. Okay. So this is a very famous question, and many Mefarshim discuss it. Okay. So he says the Efshar Lomar. It could be that we could say Ki ha-Gemara doreshet me'ela hadvarim misefer halamed tes mispar halamed tes malachos. Okay. The Gemara in Shabbos daf ayin 1, whatever, 78. Okay, it has this, it learns out from the way that the Torah says ve'ela hadvarim that ela hadvarim, that the Gemara says devarim trey. Okay, devarim means already 2. Davar, right, would be 1. Okay, so devarim is already at least 2. Yeah. Hadvarim is 3. Okay, that's like the rule. The things, okay, is already 3. It's more than 2. It's already 3. And Eile, the gematria lamed vav. And Eile, the gematria of the word Eile, right? Aleph is 1, lamed is 30, and Hey is 5. So that's 36. So if you add 36 to 3, yes, or 3 to 36, you get lamed tet. You get 39. What's 39? Malachas. Okay. So the Gemara itself, and I have the Gemara for you on the second side of the page, so you can see the actual Gemara. Okay. It literally, but Hashem, I mean, excuse me, not Hashem. The Rebbe, the Rebbe, actually just brings basically the almost the exact wording. Okay. Devarim ha devarim ela devarim. Okay. The Gemara goes on. Elu shloshim v'teisha malachot shememru l'Moshe b'Sinai. Okay. And Rashi brings out exactly what we just said, that it's, devarim is 2, ha devarim is 3, add that to Eile, and you get 39. Okay, so there's the gematria. Okay, so meaning that the Gemara, or the Gemara is teaching out that the pasuk itself, the wording of the pasuk teaches us that there's lamed tes malachos. Okay, and that's one of the things that we can learn from this particular time that Hashem gives us the mitzvah of Shabbos. But he's going to go further. Ki ha'inyan shedorshim ha'gematria me'otiot ha'Torah. So the whole inyan of gematria, that we learn, a numerical value of each of the letters, and then we add the letters together, and we learn the numerical value of the word, and we do all kinds of things with gematria, right? Sometimes people think that that's like just a cute party trick, right? But it's not. Hu mipnei she'en ksav haTorah lahavdil kisha'ar haktavim sheba'olam. Why can we do this? Why is it actually mashma'uti and not just like a party trick? Because the letters of the Torah are not like the letters of the rest of the world. Okay? Bekulam ha'ikar rak ha'mechaven ve'amachshava asher bahem. Because in the rest of the world, the point of language is to express an idea, right? The point of a word, like let's say cup. Okay, why is this called a cup? Because that was what people decided to call it, essentially, right? I mean, I'm sure it comes from, Latin, or I don't know. There, in English is a language that is derived from other languages. Okay, so, but let's say like, what's a word that we know, like psychology. Okay, so psyche is the mind. Yeah, that was like the Latin word for mind, and ology is the study of. Okay, so, but only because people decided that that's what that meant. Okay, not because the word itself is made up of that. It's just an agreement between people, and the important thing is the idea that's being expressed. Okay, not the letters with which it's being expressed. But that's not true for Hebrew. Lashon HaKodesh. Kevan she'i efshar lichtov et hamachshava kamo shehi. Okay, you can't call an idea something. Right? You can't express without language, right? I can't share an idea with you without having language to express it. So thank God, language is a tool for us to express the ideas. Okay, but it's no more than that with all of the other languages of the world. Okay, so therefore, because you can't express an idea without language, So there are letters, and the letters are a hint to what, to make a word, okay? And it means that because people created it, because people agreed upon it, right? Why is A pronounced A or D pronounced D? Because that's how in this language that communicate with each other. Yes?
From what we know, is the Hebrew language considered to be the first language?
It's the language with which Hashem created the world.
Right, so it's the base
for everything else. Exactly. Okay. But I mean, look, we know why there's many languages in the world, right? We have Migdal Bavel. Yes. That before that, everybody spoke Hebrew. Okay. That there was no other language in the world. And then afterwards, because the language was being used as a weapon essentially against Hashem, so this like a consequence, I guess we would call it, was that there were going to be many languages and people weren't necessarily going to understand each other. But through the haskama, like through the agreement that this means this and that means that, so then that's what a language comes to give us. It gives us a tool to express things, okay?
She's trying to get into this one.
Okay. I just realized because it's written in Hebrew.
That's why I went to tell her that
she's not being able to get. Oh, okay. Sorry. I can't do anything if I answer the phone call anyway.
She said I will.
Okay. I just saw that it said Bet Kuf Yud, so I realized it was Becky. Okay, so basically, we're saying all of this about other languages, and now we're going to get to Hebrew. Ubahem bonim tevot liramez, or one more sentence, tevot liramez bahem al hamachshava hamechaven sherotzim. Okay, so the agreement is you basically you take these letters and you make words out of them, and through that you understand what the idea is. Okay, but basically it's like it's an agreement between people. Like also, do you know the kids, but sometimes new words come up, right, in English or whatever. They're like, right, those kids, right? So, or they or a meaning of something changes, right? So that's like through the haskama of the agreement of the people who are using that word, right? Like I remember a few years ago, all of a sudden sick meant like really cool, that sick.
Oh yes.
Oh, that's sick. And I'm like, oh, that's, they're sick. No, I mean, it's good. It's good. It's a good thing, right? But right, that's why the meaning of language can change. Okay. I mean, this does happen in modern Hebrew, but it doesn't, it's not reflected in the actual words of Hebrew. Okay. We'll see what we mean. Like I remember when we first made Aliyah, my daughter, who's now in 9th grade, her ganenet said, she's chaval al hazman, and I was like, she's a waste of time, and she was like, oh, it's something good. I was like, how could that be something good? I don't understand, but okay, fine. So, but in Lashon HaKodesh, okay, so here let's finish with the rest of the languages of the world. Right? So the letters form the words, which are which hint at the idea, but it's really the idea that's the only important thing. The word itself is not important. Okay, it could have been that this letter could mean something else. It didn't have to be that way. Okay, but it's just, this is how language developed, and it was through an agreement between people that this letter sounds like this, and this is how you spell this word, right? And it doesn't matter. Like, for example, in English, they're like in America and in England, or in America and Australia, you have different spellings of different words. So like to realize, right? In America, we use a Z or a Z, right? And in the Commonwealth countries, it's an S. And it's the same word, but it's spelled differently. In Hebrew, that doesn't happen. You can't have a different spelling of a word. There's no such thing. This is how the word is spelled, because there's something much deeper about the letters in Hebrew than in any other language.
Right. You can't change the spelling, but there are letters that switch each other.
But there's meaning behind that.
Yeah.
There's meaning behind that. Yes, like samech and sin, or even taf, depending on where it's coming from. But meaning, but there's depth of meaning in every single way that it's spelled. Exactly. But like, for example, when you name a baby, right? There's no such thing in Hebrew. I mean, again, we're not talking about modern Hebrew. We're talking about like actual Lashon HaKodesh. There's no such thing as in Hebrew as spelling Avraham differently. You can't spell Avraham with a vav, right? Then it's not the name Avraham.
Oh, but that's very, very critical, spelling of names.
Exactly. On a ketubah, if your name is, it's essential. If the name is not spelled correctly, then it's literally not a kosher document, and it has a spiritual effect, right? So there's no other language where, okay, so his name is spelled with a K instead of a C. Doesn't matter. Like, some people spell John with an H, and some people spell without the H.
That is also
exactly. So now we're getting into it, okay? Because we understand that there's something different. There's something deeper about Hebrew letters that is not true for English letters or letters of any other alphabet. Lo ken hem otiot haTorah hakadosha. Okay, this is not so. The what we've said above about all the other languages of the world is not true of the letters of the Torah. Okay, of Lashon HaKodesh. Kol o davka kamo shehu hu velo haya yachol liyot betzura acheret. Okay, every single letter is shaped exactly the way it needs to be shaped. Okay, and it can't be in any other surah. Okay, and script is like a little bit of a like script letters and print letters are different from each other, and it's only the print letters really that have this kedusha, this level of added depth to them, and like, for example, the and then I'll just wrote below aleph bet aleph, right? You can't make the aleph is the first letter of the aleph base for many reasons, right? There's a famous there's a hayom yom, which is like the previous Rebbe kept like a little, actually was the first like a meme a day, right? Like a little idea of a day. He wrote like different things in his diary, and the Rebbe made them into like a book for the whole year. Okay, so in one of the hayom yoms, he talks about how the aleph, the letter aleph, right? And the letter aleph is described in a very specific way: a yud above, a yud below, and a vav that connects them. Okay, so the yud above is Hashem, the yud below are the Yidden, okay, Jews, us, and the vav that connects them can be the Torah, or it can be emunah, it can be Hashem's outstretched hand, but essentially there's this very much this like idea that's built into the shape of the letter. Aleph is alufo shel olam. Aleph is like ulpan, like a teacher, our prime teacher is alufo shel olam, right? There's all these ideas that are like
the letter itself.
Contained within the letter itself. You don't say that about the letter A. What does the letter A mean? It doesn't mean anything. It is the first letter of the word apple, okay? But it doesn't mean anything.
But even the alphabet we read it, there was an ancient people.
Right.
That we don't really know.
That we don't really know. And that's a good question. I actually was listening to a shir about that, and they said, well, we don't know it well enough to answer the questions about that, but this is the script that came down to us as, for the last like 2,000 years, essentially, right? We're not like made at the time of the first Beis Hamikdash was like different, but already since like the time of the second Beis Hamikdash, it's already different.
No,
Rashi is something totally different.
We actually have a hint of that from last week's parsha when we're talking about the letters on the luchot and how you can see that's already starting to allude to that idea.
Right. That there's the cutouts and
you can see it both ways from both sides.
Right, exactly.
And they flew up.
Right. So there's something with the letters that is just mystical. Exactly. Rashi actually didn't write in Rashi script. There's no real reason why. The only reason why it's called Rashi script is because the original printers wanted to differentiate Rashi from the script of the text of the Torah. So they changed the script. Rashi didn't write in that script. It has actually nothing. Rashi wouldn't even be able to read Rashi's script, right? I mean, I'm sure he would figure it out, but right. But he didn't make it up. It was a tool of the printers to differentiate Rashi from the script of the text. But every Chumash, basically, until a certain date, every Chumash was always printed with Rashi. So that was just a tool to differentiate.
I also thought that the alphabet represented Emet.
Yeah, for sure. There's a million. There's endless depth to the Aleph base. There's a whole, there are books of Kabbalah of exactly how Hashem created the world through the 22 letters of the Aleph base, and that each one has depths upon depth upon depth upon depth, right? Okay. So, velo Aleph bet, velo bet Aleph. Mipnei shelo bilvad machshevet b'seichel haTorah asher bahem kodesh. Okay, that and what we learn is that it's not just the idea that's being conveyed that's actually kodesh. Okay, rak gam hakelim v'hagufim hainu haotiyot kadoshot hein. Okay, that it's not just the idea that's being represented by the word itself, the vessel of the letter, the body of the letter is kodesh, right? And that's why when we drop a sefer on the floor, one of the reasons why we kiss it is because obviously it represents, holy teachings, but also the letters themselves are holy. So there's actually like the book embodies a certain holiness just by being, really we should any book that's written in Hebrew letters we should really kiss. But because the letters of the Aleph base are inherently holy. Hakadosha gam al el hakelim hitpashta. Okay, the holiness is it spreads also to the vessels that contain the idea. Okay, it's very, very important to understand this. The keshemishpat nitpashta. Shetet, I can never pronounce that. When it spreads, yoter az gam milui haotiot mitmalim b'kedusha. So also the milui of the otiot is filled with kedusha. What's the milui? Yeah. So that's beautiful. That's interesting. So the way I learned it, right?
It's not just the letter itself.
Right. Right. The Midrash actually says that Hashem wrote the Torah black fire on white fire. So we think of like that it's just the letters on the cloth, and the cloth doesn't represent anything. But the Midrash tells us that if even one, it's in the Gemara, that if even one, like what makes a Torah puzzle, if a flake of one letter comes off and it changes the whole meaning of the word, because the tips of the letters, there can't be more space or less space around them, because it's not just the letter that means something, it's the space around the letter that means something. So even if you can still tell what letter it is, there's a shaila over whether it puzzles the cloth, because the Sefer Torah, because the space is just as important as the white fire is just as important as the black fire. But the way that this was touched out from different teachers of Eish Kodesh, they say that this also refers to the milui, which means like the gematria, right? Milui and gematria means like when you take the word aleph, let's say. So you take the aleph and you write out aleph lamed fe, right? And lamed mem daled, and then fe yud, let's say, okay? So, or aleph, right? So and then you add up all of that as well. Okay, so you're adding not just aleph lamed fe to make the gematria of the letter of the word, but you're also adding all the letters that make up the spelling of each letter. So meaning that all of it is holy, right? And that's why when we see a gematria and it's like, well, it's not just what the letters equal, it's also including the kolel, or it's including the milui. That means something, right? Why is that mashma'uti? And why is that not just a party trick? Because the letters themselves contain holiness. And so it spread because the letters are vessels of holiness, it actually spreads to every aspect of them, even the letters that make up the letters, essentially. The way that I have, there's one of the teachers that I listen to is Rav Moshe Tzvi Weinberg, So he always talks about, he loves gematrias. He teaches at YU, and he always talks. He uses this mashal. He says the same way that like when you take some piece of chomer, okay, tissue, and you put it under a microscope, right? And under the microscope, you see the chemical compounds, even like let's say a what's it called, an atomic microscope, right? Okay, that you can actually see not just the fibers, but the actual neutrons like bouncing off of each other, right? That's gematria, okay? Meaning we're taking the letter and we're sort of breaking it down to its like, you know, its components, right? Like what it's actually made up of, and that's the gematria. It's like a spiritual atomic microscope. Yeah. So and really that's also the world, right? Because it says that Hashem creates the world through speech. So like if you take the word shulchan, right? Or you take a shulchan, right? So in a spiritual microscope, right? The word shulchan would be like floating around, you know, that Hashem is actually saying this, you know, shulchan, like a million times. And the word shulchan is actually what's making up this table. And then on top of that, you have the gematria, which is, I don't know what it is, but you know, but it adds up to something, and that will actually like, you know, teach us something about the idea of a shulchan.
I just in writing my notes when you were just saying, and lamed, how do you spell the letter lamed?
Right.
That means to learn and to teach.
Right. Isn't that amazing?
It's amazing.
When you start breaking it down, you find so much meaning. There's endless depth of meaning, and like it just comes just like that. It's not so hard to find. You rub a little bit in the sand and you find, you know, treasures essentially. Okay, and that's what's true about Lashon HaKodesh. Okay, all right. So we're on the last velo, right? Where's the okay, velo ha'otiot bilvad, yeah. Okay, velo ha'otiot bilvad, rak gam ha'gematria kodesh, gam cheshbon ha'otiot ma'or ha'torah shelamdin mehen. Yeah, lamdin. We lamed them, right? Okay, so not just the letters that are holy, but also the gematria. I know, but I'm saying lamed because she said lamed, right? Okay, that also the math, right? The math, the calculations of the letters are filled with the light of Torah that we learn from them. Okay. Okay, so now, great, that's beautiful. We have this fantastic idea. How does this relate back to the pasuk that we started with, which was Vayakel Moshe Kol Hadat Yisrael, Vayomer Aleim Eile Hadvarim Asher Tzivah Hashem La'asot Otam, and then Sheishis Yamim Te'aseh Malacha. Okay, Vehine. So now he's going to get back to that. Okay, yeah. No dam Zohar HaKodesh, so it teaches in the Holy Zohar, Hachiluk ben Shabbos leYom Tov. Okay, where there's a very big difference between Shabbos and Yom Tov. And in the Zohar there, it explains, Yom Tov hu mikra kodesh, shekorim et hakodesh umazminim oto. Okay, Yom Tov is called mikra kodesh. It's literally called mikra kodesh because we call down the kedusha onto the day. What does that mean? Okay, so he's going to go into a certain idea, but I want to just share an idea outside. Okay, that essentially Shabbos starts with the first week of creation, okay? And that every 7 days since that first seventh day has been Shabbos since the creation of the world, okay? And that Shabbos comes whether we are prepared for it or not. It's still Shabbos, okay? The more we prepare for it, the more we are able to receive from the Shabbos, but it's still Shabbos. When it comes to Yontif, we had a hand, right? We're not used to this anymore because we have a set calendar, right? But back in the day, right, when they used to light fires on the tops of the mountains to notify that it was, you know, Rosh Chodesh, okay? So then it mattered whether when they declared Rosh Chodesh, that's when Rosh Chodesh was, which would mean that, like, for example, that's when Rosh Hashanah would be. It was a very tricky thing to declare Rosh Chodesh and boom, it's Rosh Hashanah, right? And based on Rosh Hashanah, that's when Yom Kippur was. Yom Kippur, this day that's filled with, you know, Hayom Hazeh Mechaper Aleichem. The day itself atones for you. Very, very important that day is on the 10th of Tishrei, right? Who decides when the 10th of Tishrei is? Who decided? The Beis Din. We did.
Okay.
It wasn't Hashem that would say, okay, now it's Rosh Chodesh. We had to witness Rosh Chodesh and declare it Rosh Chodesh. And based on our declaring a day Rosh Chodesh, that's when the Chagim are, right? When is Pesach, right? It depends on when we declare Rosh Chodesh. You know, if it's one day too far or one day too little, that changes everything. And we were never, you know, Hashem didn't come down and say to us, no, you got it wrong. Whatever day we decided, that's when we celebrated. That's when we made it. So there's an element of the Jewish people, you know, making a vessel or declaring a day, Yontif. That's it. We had very much a hand in that. And
that's why we say Mekadesh. Hi. That's why we say Mekadesh Yisrael v'Hazmanim. Exactly,
because we made it Kedusha, okay? We made the Zman Kedusha by declaring Rosh Chodesh, okay? So obviously Hashem tells us what the date is, you know, what date this Chag is supposed to be celebrated on, but we were the ones that would figure out when that date fell. And that's what drew the Kedusha into that day.
Rabbi Lon gave a beautiful mashal. He said, Kodesh Baruch Hu takes his Yoman, and then he asks for us to take our Yoman, and that's and that's how a Chag is decided. The Moed is done by both of us together.
Beautiful. Okay, so Shabbos is called Isarusa de La'ela, an arousal from above, because Hashem delivers Shabbos to the world every 7 days, no matter what. But Yontif is called Isarusa de Latata, an arousal, an awakening from below, because we call the Yontif down onto us. Okay, like we put it in our Yoman, like Becky just said. Okay, so beautiful. So there's a difference. Okay, and that's why V'Shabbos hu be'atzmo Kodesh. Okay, Shabbos is in and of itself Kodesh. Okay, Kamosha Katuv, like it says, Ki Kodesh hu lachem. Right, Hashem declares it to be Kodesh. V'gam zot roin shev'Shabbat en mitzvah la'atzma. Right, we don't actually have a mitzvah of Shabbos. Right, we don't have a mitzvah. There's no mitzvah. I mean, we say, or Chazal have said that Zecher, right? We have Zechira and Shmira, okay? So Shmira consists of the Lamed Tes Malachas, what not to do, right? Shmira has there's no aspect of Shmira that's what to do. It's only what not to do. Zechira is Kiddush, okay? But that's not, we do that on every Chag. We do that it's not unique to Shabbos. So there's no mitzvah that's only unique to Shabbos. Zechira is talui on us. Every family essentially decides, you know, what's Shabbosik for them, right? Like what, and people decide like this clothing is for Shabbos, and this is my Shabbos dress, and this is my not Shabbos dress, right? And there are times that your Shabbos dress, when it gets a little bit older, it becomes a not Shabbos dress, right? But like we decide, each family, you know, I buy like Shabbos cereal, quote unquote, for my kids, you know, or right? Every family has a unique aspect that the way that they make Shabbos, then it's not right. Exactly. Okay. Without chicken soup, my kids, you know, but I make chicken soup on Pesach also, you know, I make chicken soup on Sukkot also. Like there's actually no, I mean, like I said, it's unique. There's no mitzvah that Hashem gives us that he says, this is what you need to do on Shabbos to make it Shabbos. Okay. There's only Shmira. There's only what not to do.
There are certain things like say this on Shabbos. Like
yeah, but that's not the mitzvah of Shabbos.
No, but there is specific things that we do.
Right, but it came from right. Okay, so and he's going to give examples like right, Kamo Rosh Hashanah HaShofar, right? On Rosh Hashanah you blow the shofar. That's the mitzvah of Rosh Hashanah. Okay, not dipping the apple in the honey, but the mitzvah of shofar is a mitzvah that's a mitzvah aseh of Rosh Hashanah. Okay,
but it's saying not to do melacha here.
But that's a lav. That's shamor. It's not a positive commandment. Okay. It's a lo taseh, not a taseh. Okay. So on Rosh Hashanah we have the shofar. The Yom Kippurim hahe inuim. Okay, we have to, even though in some way those are also lavs, but still, okay, we fast. Which can you say fasting is a positive mitzvah or not eating? But it's had the avodah, right? Exactly. Okay. The Sukkot has sukkah v'dalad minim chul. Okay, every mitzvah, every yontif, and again, Shavuos also we don't have it today, but we had the two loaves, right? Okay, rak bazeh she'en osin malacha she'osin b'sheshet yimei hamaseh. So what do we do to make it Shabbos? We don't do the malacha that we do in the 6 days of the week, okay, or the 6 days yimei hamaseh, the 6 days of doing, right? So Shabbos is made Shabbos by not doing what we do on the days of doing, okay? Ki Shabbat gam min yimei hachol oseh kedusha. Okay, and this is what's really interesting. Okay, so he starts to introduce an idea here that Shabbos makes some level of kedusha in the days of the week. Let's keep on reading for a second, and then you'll understand what he says. Ve'od zot shegam al el sheshet yimei hamaseh kedusha haShabbos nimsheches kenoda ad yom daled mekablim mishabbos ha'ava. Okay, ve'od zot. Let me start again. Ve'od zot, and another thing. Shegam el sheshes yimei hamaseh kedusha haShabbos nimsheches. Okay, that the one idea that we have, which is brought out in the Gemara and Pesachim, okay, is that Shabbos spreads its kedusha to the 6 days of the week. Okay, kenoda ad yom daled mekablim mishabbos ha'avar umin yom daled ve'elech min haShabbos haba. Okay, that we know the Gemara that discusses the idea that from Shabbos until, when are you allowed to do Havdalah until?
Tuesday night.
Tuesday night. Okay, right. So until Wednesday, essentially, right? We can do, we draw from the Shabbos before until Wednesday, and from Wednesday we draw from the Shabbos to come. Exactly. Okay. So we actually have that idea, right? That the light of Shabbos isn't just contained in Shabbos; it spreads to the days of the week.
We say that every single day. Hayom Yom Rishon L'Shabbat, Hayom Yom Sheni L'Shabbat.
Exactly. Okay. We count from Shabbos, right? Our days of the week are literally counting from Shabbos. Okay. So we bring Shabbos into every single day. Hainu shegam hagufi mitkadshim b'Shabbos v'gam yimei hachol mitkadshim. Okay. And so this is like what he's saying about what he was saying about the letters, right? That the gufim, the bodies that we are like that we make Kodesh on Shabbos, so they also can stay Kodesh from Shabbos in the days of the week. Okay, we're going to bring it all together. Hang on, I just want to go back for 1 second. Okay, there's one idea here that I didn't that we didn't. Okay, so why was it important that we don't have a mitzvah to do on Shabbos? Okay, that we, right, the difference between Shabbos and Yontif is that Shabbos itself has like this holiness. Okay, so it's coming from above, it's coming from Hashem, and that fills in a certain way, like when we call down Yontif upon us. So we basically are calling down into our vessel a certain amount of kedusha. Okay, whatever we can receive, that's what gets like drawn into the world. But Shabbos, because it comes from Hashem, it's like overflowing. It overflows, and that's the idea of that. It flows out. There's no one vessel. Like if you say if you say the mitzvah of shofar, let's say, okay, the mitzvah of shofar on Rosh Hashanah. So somehow the mitzvah of like that becomes the embodiment of Rosh Hashanah, and it contains on some level the mitzvah of Rosh Hashanah. It's filled with the mitzvah of Rosh Hashanah, but it doesn't like have this like spreading kind of aspect to it. Whereas on Shabbos, there's no one mitzvah that contains Shabbos.
Isn't it lighting candles?
Lighting candles is not, no. I mean, we light candles. First of all, we light candles first of all, lighting candles on Shabbos is a question of whether it's actually a mitzvah aseh, okay? It's or if it's something else, okay? But we also light candles on Yontif, right? So remember, what he's talking about here is a specific mitzvah that will kind of contain the kedusha of the day, and there isn't one. because there's no such thing as containing the Kedusha of Shabbos. Okay, what contains the Kedusha of Shabbos? Us. Okay, us as like our gufa, we become like the vessels of Shabbos.
I think it's the same thing like Shmita also. Like Shmita is like the Shabbat of like the Kedusha of the ground. Like each count 6 years up. And it's everything, even though we don't think, like everybody always says, wait, how many more years till Shmita? Like how many, like we will panic. But like, because
it has this aspect of Shabbos.
Again, like to the next time. And then it's a low, you're not supposed to work the ground, which is a low chesed, but still like we get the Kedusha from what we do that year that elevates.
Right. And not working it becomes the way of.
I'm saying what we don't do, but that elevates it for us, and that's the Kedusha.
Right. Exactly. Not doing it becomes the Right. But then you have this other aspect, which is what you said at the beginning. So here's how he brings it in. Okay. So it says in Shabbos in the Gemara, right, that if Am Yisrael would keep 2 Shabboses, then immediately they would be redeemed. Okay, so we have to understand that. Okay, there's obviously a lot of deep meaning in there. But one of the things that he's saying here is Lefi hane'amar la'ayil Shabbat echad is haShabbat. Okay, so he brings in this really beautiful idea that according to what we said above, there's 2 Shabboses basically in every Shabbos. One of the Shabboses is Shabbos, v'habei haShabbat shebiyimei hachol shenimshach lahem kedusha Shabbos. And the second it's really like 2 levels of Shabbos in every Shabbos. The second level of Shabbos is that in the days of the week, you're thinking about Shabbos, or you're drawing from the Shabbos, or you're not doing work is an aspect of Shabbos, right? So he's basically saying that in the 6 days of the week, you are you're creating ke'ilu a Shabbos by doing the work, which is what you're not allowed to do on Shabbos, but it creates the Shabbos. Does that make sense?
Anticipating to create. It anticipates it and that creates it.
Beautiful. Okay, it anticipates it and it creates it. Nice, because you're basically doing the work, and then Shabbos you're not doing the work. Yes. So, like you said at the beginning, right? That I forgot exactly how you worded it, but like by not doing the work, you make a separation. You make Shabbos different, right? So what he's saying here is that by not doing the work, you are on some level also creating Shabbos, because by doing the work in the 6 days, you are creating Shabbos because you're actively saying today is not Shabbos. I am going to do work today. So by doing that work, you're acknowledging that today is something different than Shabbos, and that brings Shabbos into that day. Okay, it's like when you say, when you bring Hashem into something, you're saying like, Hashem, please help me have this discussion with my child in the best way. So then Hashem is like with you in that discussion, right? So when I go to work or when I get into my car and I say like, I'm getting into my car because it's not Shabbos. So on some level, that brings Shabbos into my driving because I'm dafka doing it, like because it's not Shabbos, I'm going to drive, right? So he says, so that is like 2 Shabboses, because you have the Shabbos and not Shabbos. And on some level, that brings Shabbos into the not Shabbos. Do you understand what he's saying?
No.
It's like hafuch halafuch, right? Okay, one more paragraph. Sheishis yamim te'aseh malacha v'chulu. Okay, so what did we say that meant, right? Te'aseh is a very, very interesting word. Actually, before we finish reading this, let's just read what the Rebbe says. Okay, so the source number 6. Can you just pour me a little bit of something, anything?
Hot, cold?
Cold is fine. Thanks. So the Rebbe says, thank you so much. Mm-hmm. The Torah describes the Jews' work in the course of the week as a passive endeavor. Okay, 6 days work shall be done. Right? Te'aseh. Te'aseh is what? Hitpa'el. He feel. Right? Te'aseh. 6 days work shall be done. Like Ilu, that the work is almost like doing itself on some level. Okay. This is what the Rebbe is saying. For the Jew regards his workday endeavors not as the source of his sustenance, but merely as a vessel in which to receive God's blessing. Okay. That meaning there's a funny story that I always forget and then remember and then forget again. And that a chassid once came to the Rebbe Rashab. The Rebbe Rashab was the 5th Lubavitcher Rebbe. So he basically had a shoe factory, galoshes. You guys know, right? I'm not teaching the right age here. Okay, when I teach kids, they're like, "What's a galosh?" Right? So galoshes. He had a galoshes factory, and he would come to the Rebbe like all the time about like problems with Parnassa, the factory, the workers, the government, and finally one time the Rebbe Rashab said to him like, I've heard about feet in galoshes, but a head in galoshes I've never seen before, right? Meaning that this man was completely consumed by his galoshes, right? And his whole brain, his whole heart, his whole person was like, obsessed in the galoshes. And that's like, right? So what he's saying here is like, when I say like, I work, right? So then on some level, I'm kind of like defining myself by my work. But if I say like, that's my work, I don't know, something a little bit more passive, right? Then I'm separating myself a little bit and I'm saying like, okay, that's what has to be done during the 6 days, because there has to be something during the 6 days that is not Shabbos, okay? And so therefore I do this, and that makes me a vessel to receive Parnassa, first of all, right? But it's really through this concept of like that I'm working for these 6 days because it's not Shabbos. And then I don't do that. And then I can receive Shabbos as a more full vessel, like in a more full way. If there wasn't work that was being done in the 6 days and I just sat around, then there would be no difference between the 6 days and Shabbos. Okay. But I have to always know that it has to be done in this like passive way, that this is not defining me, right? This is not where I put all my energy.
But I think also the preparations we do, like comes Tuesday, people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's almost Shabbos. Like, but you can either be shopping and be excited it's coming. You can sit Friday and be miserable. They can cook more.
Right. No, for sure. That's with everything. Yeah.
Also the things we do for Shabbos, also you have to like elevate it.
For sure. Attitude is definitely a key factor, right? When you're looking forward to it, when you see it in the proper light, then that adds kedusha, and it adds peace and harmony and light and all of that into our lives. When we dread it, definitely there's something wrong. I used to dread it, and someone said to me like, you need to get whatever. I had a bunch of little kids, and my husband was in residency, and my Rebbitzin said to me like, you have to get a babysitter on either on Thursday or on Friday. Like there has to be you have to actively enable yourself to enjoy it a little bit more, right? Because it can be overwhelming if we don't have the tools.
We go back to history, at the time after World War II. Like the Moshe Feinstein said to people, why did so many kids go up to derech? Because the parents always said,
right. There's the yid, design a yid. Yes, exactly.
If you look at it in a negative way, and it's hard, and it's a then you have to look at simcha. You have to be,
right. And I think also, that's a little bit on us, like that we, why was it so hard back in the day? Because
people got fired every week.
Well, because people, right. So, but also because they had to work out, like, if I had to grind my flour before I made my, and I had to milk the cows, and I had to, get the eggs from the chickens.
You'll do that with simcha.
You could, right? But what we did to ourselves, what I'm like making a little bit of it, you definitely could do that with simcha. And you also, people had more help, and they lived in a village, and I don't know, whatever else. Okay? But it definitely was hard work. But what we've done to ourselves is absolutely ridiculous, right? That all of a sudden we have to make all these fancy dishes, and we have to serve it beautifully. And like, I'm a big advocate of like simple, right? We got into a mode of like, there has to be 7 salads and 3 main courses, and it's ridiculous. It depends on where you live, right? But I think Israel, Baruch Hashem, is much more sane about these things than other places in the world, where it has to be like almost like a catered affair every week, right? And even in America, I remember one time I think I've told you this. My cleaning lady one time said to me, like, you make Thanksgiving every single week, you know? And I was like, yeah, exactly. And so, but it doesn't have to be that, right? You get it down to a science, and you can make the same. My kids, I used to try to think of like different chickens and different soup, but my kids want chicken soup. They want basically the same chicken every week. And that's what they want. So that becomes much, much easier when we make it easier for ourselves. We don't like make crazy expectations. We enable ourselves to enjoy it more.
The thing is that I love shop. That's my thing. Like I struggle with and when Thursday night people said, and I really, really love
That's
it.
beautiful.
But I'm not saying it's like for somebody to feel like, oh, well, she's doing it. Comes the half hour before Shabbat is over, I really get this anxiety.
Yeah.
But then when I'm hearing this,
I
need to really work on
bringing it into the 6 days. Yeah. So you need to listen to also my Shabbos shir, right? Okay, because then in that shir we're learning about how to bring it into the week, like mamash, bring it into the week, and how Shabbos is really like, obviously on one hand Hashem is much more sort of revealed to us, and obviously the atmosphere of Shabbos is very, very special, but that Hashem, where does Hashem go? He doesn't go anywhere at the end of Shabbos, right? We go somewhere, but he doesn't go anywhere. But what we have to like work on holding on to that, as whatever we received on Shabbos, drawing into the weekend. That's exactly what he's saying here, what the PSS Rebbe is saying. That on SoundCloud or Spotify, I can send you a link to the list, to the whatever it's called, the playlist. Yeah. I'll send it on the whole group. Yeah. Okay. Sheish yamim te'aseh malacha v'chulu. Okay, so this is what the pasuk says, right? 6 days. Right, we're in that last little let's see, 1, 2, 3 from the bottom, right? Okay. Sheish yamim te'aseh malacha. Okay, that was the pasuk. V'chulu yeh lachem kodesh Shabbos Shabbaton. Okay, that's what the pasuk says. So Beis Shabbatot kenemar la'ayil. So Shabbat Shabbaton, he's saying, is like the 2 Shabboses, right? The Shabbos of Shabbos and the Shabbos of the 6 days of the week. Mipnei shagam b'sheshes yimei hachol timshechu hakadusha, because in the 6 days of the week, we can actually draw down the same holiness, the same aspect. It's like the pot and the cover, okay, right? We have the pot and this is the cover, so they work together. Lachen ba'azhara zo ramza haTorah kol halamitet malachos b'gematria. That's why all the 39 malachos are hinted at in the gematria. L'ramez she'akol nitkadesh ad shegam hagematria kedusha v'gam mimena tetzei Torah. Okay, that everything is made holy. Okay, even the vessel that contains the holiness, which is the gematria, right? So even from that we can learn Torah. So what the Rebbe is basically saying to us is that the Shabbos is everything, right? Shabbos is really the center of our world. Okay, and we see that, like, we tend to think of it as like the week and then Shabbos, right? We shouldn't really think of it that way. We should think of it as 3 days and then Shabbos and then 3 days. 3 days and then Shabbos and then 3 days, right? The Shabbos is really the middle on some level, because spiritually it's the middle, it's the heart of our week. So we shouldn't think that we like have Shabbos and then we're bereft. And then we have Shabbos and then we're bereft. No, we're drawing, like today is what? Monday, okay? So we still have the light of the Shabbos before, that last Shabbos, okay? Shabbos Kitisa, okay? Through tomorrow. We're counting from that Shabbos, right? And we're drawing from that Shabbos. And then starting on Wednesday, we start to get a taste of the Shabbos to come. And so we have Shabbos and then 3 days, right? Okay, and then 3 days and then Shabbos, and then, right? Okay, it's very much this aspect of, but what the Rebbe is saying here is that when in the 6 days, so having the concept of Shabbos is coming, or having the concept of I'm not doing work because, you know, or excuse me, I keep on saying it the wrong way. I am doing work because today is not Shabbos, right? So these are like tactics, I guess you could say, that we could remind ourselves that we are still filled with the light of Shabbos. We just don't feel it in the same way, or it's not the same flavor. It's the 6 days flavor rather than the Shabbos flavor of Shabbos.
You know what else I'm thinking? That when you think about when Hashem created the world, every day we do it, and then Hayom comes shown, and then you feel like people, like every day was told.
Right.
You have to remember that every day also has to be
Right. So there's a beautiful idea that Tov is always a reference to light, because the first time that Hashem called something Tov, it was the light, okay? Because that was the first thing that he created. And there's very much an idea that that light that was created at the beginning of creation is the light of Shabbos, is the light of like Or HaGanuz, this hidden light, right? And that's the light of Shabbos. We catch it, we open a window to it when we light our Shabbos candles. And so everything that's Tov in the world is that essentially. Yeah, the house is filled with light, right? And that was that same light. The light of the candles, right? Exactly. And the light of Shabbos, the light of clarity, Sarah's tent, right? Hanukkah also like that. Okay. Anyway, we should be zocha to bring Shabbos, bring all the levels of Shabbos into our lives. Yeah, that's a way of. It's definitely. So we should be vessels to receive that holiness. Yes, I'll send you the playlist of I have like a WhatsApp group. I don't know if anybody like a
I'm on it.
Yeah, I think you're on it, right? So it's on the me.
Oh, so then you have to put that in.
Yeah, I mean I only put people in when if they ask me. I send out the recordings of all the other shirim that I give.
Oh. And they're in English?
Yeah, they're all please. What kind of question is that?
Okay.
I don't think so. I'm happy to add anybody else that wants to be added. Okay, but I'll send.
Very easy. We have so many.
Oh, so it's on WhatsApp. It's on WhatsApp. It's not on email. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I should add everybody. Okay, it's just the recordings that I send out. You're there already. Yeah. If I try to add you, it'll tell me that you're already on. Besimcha. To you too. Thank you for being. We're all like by being here, we make a vessel of the, to receive this light.
Oh, it was very good to be